Save the Butcher!
Hi, this is Bob from HelpSaveTheButchers.com, and today we're going to do some basic merchandising tips on an export rib. I have an export rib in front of me, and what we're going to do is we're going to take a rib roast off of the chuck end. We're going to do a two-ribber that was boned and tied. We've explained to our customers the value of this. This way here, where you cook it bone in, you slice the strings on them, and the roast falls off boneless, and you're able to slice it that way. The rest of it, what we're going to do is do bone-in and boneless rib steaks. Now, a boneless rib steak is a value to the consumer that you can merchandise for a little bit more money and still give the value to the customer and to the store. So here we go doing this, and always, there's not going to be a lot of trim on this, but minimize your trim to maximize your gross profit. All right, here we go. First thing we're going to do is we're going to turn the rib over. Now, I've already chimed this and gone along the backbone. We want to make it a little bit easier. We don't want to make the steaks so that they're thin in one point and thick in the other. So by chiming it, most of the time we've eliminated that problem. We're also going to take the excess fat off of the bottom here, and if we can, we're going to peel it instead of just cutting the fat. So the fat part, though, the globs, that has to come off. And we want to avoid the meat if we can. That's why peeling is an advantage. Go along the edge of one of the ribs, get under the seam, and if it is peelable, you should be able to do it then. Now, when we make the decision of cutting the rib roast off, we want to go one direction or the other. Either we want to go against the bone towards the larger end or the smaller end, depending on the size of the rib and what we're trying to do with it. But what we don't want to do is cut in the middle. We want to be able to have either a full cut boneless ribeye steak there or have the next steak be a bone in. So I'm going to cut it closer to the bone on the larger end piece. Here's our rib roast there. We're going to take this, we're going to seam it now or cut it now, and we're going to tie it back on. What we're going to do is go right up against the bone and pull it back and separate it at the same time, but we're not going to cut all the way through. We're going to cut down just to the hinge of where the bone meets the meat. And when it's cooked, this piece here should be able to peel off real easy. Put it back on so it's nice and even. We're going to take our roast, we're going to tie it, wrap around our knife so we can pull it tight. We're going to do 2 strings on this one. Okay, there we go. That's our rib roast, boned and tied for our customer. Now what we want to do is we want to take the bones across the top of the rib bones out so that they don't interfere when we go to slice our rib steaks. What we're going to do is we're going to just get underneath the bone on the edge and flip it, turn the meat so that we can go around the edge of the bone with it and take the bone out. By turning the meat, rather than trying to dig into the rib itself, we're able to stay closer to the bone. Now what we're going to do is alternate our steaks. We're going to take a bone-in rib steak, a boneless rib steak, and so on all the way down through it. But we're going to make our decision on which side to put down on the bench while we're cutting it. And you'll notice where we took out the knob there, that side we don't want to display. We want to display the other side. So when I cut it, I'm going to put the good side up, and then when I do a boneless, it's going to alternate in the opposite direction. There we go. On the end piece, be careful if there's a wedge. I want to try to make it as even as possible. There you go, some basic merchandising tips on an export rib. We have some boneless rib steaks, some bone-in rib steaks, a semi-boneless, boned and tied rib roast. This is Bob from HelpSaveTheButchers.com. Remember, the secret to running a great meat department is to do the basics really well.
Help save the butcher!